In this video, I want to talk to you about what I believe is one of the best Amazon FBA PPC strategies available. I'm going to talk you through the strategy itself so you can understand the logic and the theory behind it. I'm then going to show you some tutorials. I'm going to show you how to find the best keywords for those campaigns. I'm going to show you how to track your ranks so you can see whether your PPC is being effective or not. And I'm also going to show you how to set up your very first campaign in Seller Central as well. So if you're new to Amazon FBA, if you're an Amazon FBA beginner just getting started with sponsored ads and PPC, this video should give you everything you need. So firstly, let's just have a quick explanation of the strategy that I'm talking about, and then we'll dive into those tutorials. I call this the FBA Elite MEMC strategy, and I'll explain what MEMC means shortly. And this is my own personal strategy. This is what I use for my own products, and it's also what I teach in the FBA Elite course as well. So this strategy has been tried and tested on many different products and in many different niches. The strategy is suitable for both long-term use and for product launches. So it can be used for either case, and you can just tweak it accordingly depending on your goals. Now, MEMC stands for Multiple Exact Match Campaign. And the reason this is so important, there are two things you need to take away from that. One is exact match. So I only use exact match keywords. I don't use phrase or broad match. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with broad match or phrase match, but for most beginners, it's a lot easier to understand exact match. And also, if you do the right research, exact match is extremely powerful. I'm not saying don't go and experiment. You can go and experiment with phrase and broad if you want. But I would say initially just focus on exact match, as this will get 90% of the job done without the additional expenditure of going into phrase and broad match. The other thing from that sentence is multiple. So we don't just set up one campaign. We're going to be setting up multiple campaigns. And the reason for this is we are going to be separating the campaigns by the search volume. What often newbies do, what often Amazon FBA beginners get wrong, is that they'll do their keyword research. Maybe they'll find 20 keywords they want to target, and they put them all in one campaign with one budget, and then they launch. And then that is their strategy. But the problem with that is within that data, there will be some keywords that have a much higher search volume and some that have a much lower search volume. And if you've got a few keywords that maybe have a 5,000 or a 10,000 search volume, they are going to dominate the keywords. They're going to dominate the other keywords in that campaign. So they don't get an equal exposure. And it's very, very difficult to then know which keywords are actually performing or not when you've got one or two keywords really eating up the majority of the budget. So we separate these keywords based on search volume so that we can control that budget in a bit more granular detail, and we can really see which keywords are converting or not. Now, as a starting point, I'm just going to give you some general guidelines, but feel free to tweak these as you see fit. I would say start with a bid that is 10p above the Amazon recommended bid for each keyword. And that's going to become clearer at the end of this video. When we set up that campaign, you'll see exactly what I mean. And your starting budget for your campaign overall should be £5 per sale. So depending on what your goals are for your product, let's say, for example, you found a product that you want to sell 150 units per month. That's 5 sales per day. So if I'm saying allocate initially £5 per sale, you're going to need £25 of PPC spend per day during the launch period. Now, this is going to vary for every single product and every single niche. You may have to increase this or decrease it, but £5 I found is a good starting point. We're going to be using Cerebro from Helium 10, but you're welcome to use your own keyword research tools to do this. So I'm going to be using Cerebro to find the most high volume and also highly relevant keywords for the particular product and niche that you're looking at. And we're going to be tracking all of your organic ranks so we can make a direct one-to-one correlation between the keywords in your PPC that you're targeting versus how your organic ranks are responding on Amazon. If you're not sure what I mean by that, it'll become clearer later on in the video. And then what I want you to do is once that's all set up, you're going to be checking and optimizing your PPC regularly. During launch periods, it's probably going to be every 24 to 48 hours. And the main things you're going to want to do, as is exact match, you're not going to be negating keywords. You're not going to be putting in negative keywords, because the only keywords that are going to be in those campaigns are keywords that you add. But you may want to consider pausing some of the keywords that aren't performing. So as a general guide there, I've got after 20 clicks, because if someone's clicked on that keyword 20 times and hasn't bought your product, at 20 times, that would be a 5% conversion rate, which is quite low. The only time I would then keep that keyword going is if the organic ranks are improving. That's why we always look at them both together. And I'd also adjust the bids for any converting words, so any keywords that are generating sales, depending on what my overall ACoS target was, I might adjust that bid up or down accordingly. But we can come back to that later on in the video. So that is the background theory to these campaigns. The first thing we're going to need to do is get some keywords. So I'm looking for up to 20 keywords. I don't want 50 or 100 or 2,000. This is one of the reasons why I don't use broad or phrase match, as you end up with hundreds or thousands of different keywords. And by going to exact match and only having maybe up to 20 keywords, within a few days, you start to get enough data for each keyword to make those optimizations. If you've got 100 keywords and you're spending £25 per day, it could be months before you have enough data to truly understand which keywords are working or not. And most new sellers are launching relatively low demand products, maybe 100 units, 200 units, or 300 units per month. So their PPC spend is going to be somewhere between £20 to £50 per day. So that sort of spend, you have to focus on a smaller amount of keywords. Otherwise, it'll be so diluted, you'll never have the data you need on a much bigger spectrum of keywords to be able to optimize them. So that is why we want exact match, and this is why we don't want too many keywords to work with. So let me take you over to Amazon and into Cerebro and show you how to find the best keywords for your very first campaign. And what I'm going to do is use a real world product that I used to sell, which is a car boot liner or a car boot protector. As you can see, this is to protect your car boot from dogs, dirt, whatever it is you put in your boot. And I sold this product for the best part of about 3 years and did about £300,000 worth of sales. So I know this niche inside out, really. And what I want to do is show you how, as a new seller, I would come into this niche and find the best keywords to set up my first PPC campaign. So we've got a good keyword there. We've got all of the products are comparable. So we know we're on the right track with this search term. Let's run X-ray first. So this is a sales estimator tool from Helium 10. And I want to filter out the sponsored results. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tick the checkbox next to the best selling product. So I'm not going to tick them based on order. I'm going to look at the sales column and tick the ones that are selling really well, because I want to know which keywords these products are both ranked well organically for. And also I'm going to dive into the data a bit and try and find out which ones these guys are actually paying to advertise on as well. Because if these guys are paying to advertise on particular keywords and are doing really good sales, there's a good chance you want to be targeting those keywords as well. So I've got 9 different products selected here. I'm then going to choose Run Cerebro. And what it will do, this will pull all 9 of those products through into Cerebro, and it's going to analyze all of those products and put together a list of all of the keywords that these products are ranked for. Now, initially, we're going to have a huge list. It will probably be 2,000 or 3,000 keywords. And we're going to have to filter that down to what I believe would be the best, maybe 10 to 20 keywords to start your first campaign with. So let's scroll down first and see what we get. All right, we've got 3,295 keywords. And you can use these filters to narrow things down. And as with most things in this video, there aren't strict guidelines. It's kind of you tweak this data as you go and make your best decision. I'm going to show you some example filters you may want to consider using. And this is the same for all of PPC. There is no perfect way of doing things. You kind of have to feel your way through this process, but hopefully the example in this video is going to put you on the right track. So the first thing I want to do is put in a minimum search volume. If I'm trying to launch a product, I don't want a keyword that's only got a 10 or a 50 search volume per month, as it's not going to give me the traffic and the sales velocity we need to get ranked. So I'm going to start somewhere probably around 300, and we'll see how many keywords we get back. The other sort of filters we want to do is filter the keywords based on how many of these existing sellers are ranked well for that keyword. So if we come down here, we've got competitor rank average. So the average organic rank that these listings are achieving. So I want to see products that are ranking in the top 30. And I also want this to be, so I want at least 2 of these listings to be in the top 30 for those keywords. And that will help reduce this list quite substantially. So apply filters. What have we got now? We're down to 17 keywords. So I probably actually don't need to do any more filters at this stage. Now, if I felt that was a bit strict, I can always roll this back a bit. I could increase the competitor rank from 30 to maybe 40 or 50th, or I could decrease the search volume to bring in a few more keywords. Let's just take a look at these 17 keywords and see if they are any good. And by the looks of it, boot liner, boot protector, so get rid of that pop-up, boot protector, car boot liners, car boot protector, car boot liner. These look like, from my own memory of selling within this niche, some of the best keywords that I used to target. You do have more product-specific keywords, so Volvo XC boot liner and Hyundai Tucson and Kia Sportage, etc. I wouldn't necessarily target those with a launch PPC campaign. I would maybe introduce those later when you're looking to expand the campaigns potentially, but I wouldn't use them for launch. So I would just come through and delete these ones out. So I'll delete that one, the Ford one, the Volvo one, and all of a sudden we're down to probably 14 or so keywords. I'd also delete car boot mats because I used to target that and it had a super poor conversion rate. But if you're a new seller, you'd probably include that, and then you'd realize after a week or two, actually, we need to exclude that. But we've got a good selection of keywords here to get us started with our first campaign. The next thing I would then do is sort them by search volume so that I could then decide how to split these keywords. So the first three here, you can see I've got comparable search volumes, 1800, 1600, 1500. So I would take those three keywords and put them into one campaign. I'll then go down again and see how we could break it up further. So I'd maybe take 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe the next 4 or 5 products and put them into another campaign. So from maybe 500 search volume to 1000 search volume. And then the next 5 from below 500, I'll put those in a separate campaign as well. And then we've got our keywords grouped by search volume. You've got the high volume ones, which are around about 1500. You've then got 500 to 1000, and you've got 500 and below. Now, in some niches, the search volumes will be much more sporadic than this. You might have a keyword with a 20,000 search volume, in which case that might be a keyword you put in a campaign on its own. There is nothing wrong with doing that. Just make sure you split your search terms by search volume so that no individual keyword or search term dominates the spend within a particular campaign. Now, once you've got the keywords, we want to copy these to clipboard so that we can start to use them throughout the rest of the video. And the next step is to put them into a keyword tracker. So I use the keyword tracker from Helium 10. I've used this for years and it's always been super helpful when trying to launch a product so you can monitor the ranks. And what you do is you come in here, you'd add your product, and then you'd add the keywords that you want to track for that product so that Helium 10 can come in every day and see where you rank for those particular keywords within Amazon. So what I've got here is an example product that I started tracking a long time ago. And you can see some of the keywords that I used to track for this product. This was actually one of my main competitors at the time. So I not only tracked my own product and how I ranked, I also tracked my competitor to see how they were also performing for particular search terms. So you can see a number of the search terms are quite similar to what I found in Cerebro. And if I click on the icon over here, you can see the sort of data that it collects. So if I put that on the 1 year view, this is how they were performing in the organic ranks. So they were in the top 5 positions for a long, long time. And it looks potentially at the moment they might either have a period of out of stock or they're going to stop selling this product. My best guess is they're probably just out of stock and have misjudged the Q4 demand, just like I've done recently with a number of my products. And the reason this data is so important is if you launch a product, you run your PPC, you start to generate sales, but you don't actually know how well your PPC is working. Yes, you might be getting some sales, but you need to know that your organic ranks are going in the right direction. And as an extreme example, there was a particular keyword that I was targeting for one of my products recently. It had a huge search volume of like 30,000 per month. And it started in about position 60th. And for the best part of about 4 weeks, I didn't think it was actually working. But when I was checking the organic ranks, it was slowly edging up, slowly edging up. And then all of a sudden, when I broke into about the top 20 to top 15 results, that keyword went absolutely crazy and the sales started flooding in. So sometimes you have this lost leading period where you're not 100% certain if a keyword is really working for you or not. But by tracking your organic ranks, you can see whether you're making progress. And if it is making progress, usually it's just a game of patience until it gets into those top organic positions and then the sales really start coming in. And this is why I stick with exact match, because you know exactly which keywords you're targeting, you'll know exactly which keywords you're tracking, and you can see that one-to-one correlation between PPC spend and how the organic ranks are improving. That's why I take this approach, and this is why it really, really works for new sellers rather than complicating things with phrase match and broad match. So that is the next step. The first step was to do Cerebro to get the keywords in the first place. The next step was to track these keywords so that when you launch your PPC campaign, you can see whether your PPC is actually working. And don't read too much into it if things don't start moving straight away. Often it takes a good few days before those ranks start to improve. And it can take quite a few weeks, if not a month or two, for the ranks to fully get to where you want them to go to. So be patient with that. So once we've done this, we're then ready to set up your first campaign. So go into Seller Central, go to the menu in the top left-hand corner, go to Advertising and then Campaign Manager. That will bring you over to this page and click the blue button here, which says Create Campaign. You're then going to get a number of different options to choose from. I would just say to most beginners, just stick with sponsored product. This is by far the easiest one to set up. It also doesn't require any additional media. If you're doing sponsored brands and you want to create a video, obviously you have to get that created as well. But with sponsored products, you don't actually need any media, as Amazon are just going to promote your listing as it is. So I want you to start with a sponsored product ad. Click continue, and that will bring you to the campaign builder. And this is super simple. Don't be worried about this stage. You can give it your own ad group name. You can leave it as it is if you want. This doesn't impact anything, so you can name this to whatever you want it to be. You'll then see a list of your products. Now I've put hide in there so I can hide all of my products, but you'll see a list of the products that you want to set up PPC for. And just click the add button next to the product that you're doing this particular campaign for. Scroll down a bit further, and then we've got targeting. I want you to choose manual targeting so that you can put in your own keywords. I don't want you to do an automatic targeting campaign. So auto campaigns can work. I'm not saying don't use auto campaigns, but I'm saying for most new sellers, if you do exact match and do it the way I'm talking about in this video, you'll get better manageable results than going with an automatic campaign. If you do an auto campaign, Amazon is going to decide which keywords to target and which other products to advertise your product on. And that could be hundreds or thousands of pieces of data. So as I mentioned earlier, it's going to take weeks, if not months, to get enough data for each one of those keywords to know whether you want to keep it in your campaign or not. But with an exact match campaign of maybe 10 to 20 keywords, you're going to know within a few days whether your keywords are any good, and you can start making those optimizations. So manual targeting, and we're doing a keyword targeting campaign. Product targeting is when your product appears on another product's listing. So for the purposes of this video, we want to ignore that for now, but it does have its place, like I say, with everything I've talked about in this video. Broad match, phrase match, product targeting, auto campaigns. I'm not saying don't use them. I'm just saying this strategy, the exact match strategies that I'm talking about in this video, should give you the results you need without over complicating things. We come down a bit further and we can finally start to put in the keywords. So initially you'll see a list of suggested keywords based on the product that you added above. But if you go to enter list, you can then copy and paste the keywords that you want to add. Before you do that, make sure you unticked broad, unticked phrase, and just leave exact match ticked. So put that in there, then add the keywords and you'll see them appear on this right hand side. Now, as I haven't actually selected a product further up on the screen, it hasn't given me a suggested bid, because Amazon will suggest a bid based on that individual's product history. So a new product, you'll need to bid higher than an established product. This is why it can't give me a bid at the moment. If Amazon doesn't give you a bid, I normally start bidding at £1, especially for a new product. There's no point bidding much lower, as you won't usually get any traction. So I'm going to start bidding at £1. If not, what I would have done, if it had suggested the bid, I'd have then added 10p to all of the suggested bids. So I was bidding over the default bid, and then I'd reassess that every 24 to 48 hours. So the keywords are added to the campaign. We're not going to be using negative keyword targeting as we're using exact match. So there's nothing to add as a negative. In terms of bids, I want to bid down only, as I don't want to give Amazon the freedom to bid up further for me. I'd rather know, look, I want to bid £1 or less per click. That's what I want to bid for. So that's why I choose that setting. I'm not worried about bid adjustments. This will just overcomplicate things for you guys at the moment. Then come down a bit further, you can pop in a campaign name. Again, it doesn't matter what you call the campaign. The portfolio, you can put one in if you want to group a number of them together. And the start date, choose today if now is when you want to start the PPC, or at some point in the future do that. And then the daily budget. So remember, I said £5 per sale. So as you are going to be splitting your keywords into separate campaigns, you might want to do £8 or £9 over 3 different campaigns. That's maybe how you want to approach this. Or if, as we saw in the initial keyword research, we know these keywords here are doing a much higher search volume. If I've got £25 to spread over these keywords, I might put these 3 into a campaign with £10, and then these ones 750 each or something like that. So you can play about with splitting the budgets across the campaign based on how much search volume is within each of those campaign. And then once that's done, just come down and choose launch campaigns, and your ads should start to appear within kind of half hour to an hour. And you can come back 24 hours later, so don't check the same day. Always check the following morning to get data for the previous day. That is the very earliest you're going to see any data. Don't try and make decisions based on same day data. The data always lags with PPC, and it can take up to 2 full weeks for the full conversion data to appear in those reports. But generally I find the next morning should give you most of the data from the day before. So that is how you set up your very first campaign. We've gone through the process of doing the keyword research. We're going to be tracking those ranks to see how they respond to this campaign that we've just set up. And if you do it the way I've talked about in this video, this should give you a really powerful campaign or group of campaigns that will give you a great chance of launching your product and getting ranked well on Amazon. Now, throughout this video, I've been using the various tools from Helium 10. So I've been using X-Ray, I've been using Cerebro, I've been using the keyword tracker. If you guys want to use this, I've been using it since 2018, and I use it pretty much every day for my Amazon FBA business. So I'm very, very confident in this tool. If you use discount code FBA Elite 20, that will save you 20% off for your first 6 months. You can see there, that brings the price down. Or you can use FBA Elite 10, and that will save you 10% off forever. So that's a really powerful code to use as well. Or use either of those codes and choose the annual pricing option, and that will save you 25% off for the year. So that is the most cost-effective way to buy Helium 10. Now, as mentioned earlier, there's a link to the FBA Elite course in the pinned top comment and also in the description as well. What I'm going to do now is if you're struggling to find your first product, I'm going to pop up a video now which shows you step by step the exact method that I use to find products to sell on Amazon. So I'm going to pop up that video now, and I'll see you guys over there.